guys, Casualeann here. So you may be able to see that today I am someplace new. I'm home in West Virginia for the holidays, and so things will go a bit differently today. I don't have all of my normal equipment with me, but we're still going to go through the review of this past week's Raw Talk from December 13th. Okay, so we start with our hosts, Jackie Redmond and Matt Camp, and they're announcing that Jerry the King Lawler will again join them, but more importantly, that Bobby Lashley, because of his win in the gauntlet match, will now be added to the triple threat, making it a fatal four-way. The stipulation for the Almighty was that if somehow he could defeat all other three of the competitors in the current triple threat, then he would be added to it. Now, Kevin Owens, with the first of the gauntlet match competitors, the minute he gets in trouble, he taps out of the Hurt Lock. Like, it's not even all the way in at that point, and he's already tapping out. Then in Seth Rollins' match, he gets the idea to deck the architect, getting Lashley disqualified in the process. Now, supposedly this would kick him out of the match, right? But then Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce restart all of the matches, restart, saying that the matches that come out for Bobby Lashley after this will be no DQ. Now, I thought this was a little weird in terms of its wording for the Fatal 4-Way. I don't know if you can see that. There's probably a good glare on it. Because it kind of gave away that Bobby Lashley is going to make it to all of the matches. And I thought they should have said something more along the lines of any future matches that come, or something like that, so that there's still like the suspicion in the air that maybe he won't make it. But that was a small point. But once the match restarted, obviously Lashley tore through Seth Rollins to win that match, and he left no one but Big E remaining. So Big E tells everyone else to stay out of the way. He's going to handle it. He is the champion after all. This is about his title. But MVP jabs Big E with his pimp cane. He doesn't call it that. It's a pimp cane. And this opens up Bobby Lashley to take advantage for the win. I thought, again, this made Big E look so weak. Like, I thought him escaping from the cage door made him look like a mid-carder last week. But this, like being taken down by a jab in the knees, definitely made him look like a mid-carder. But the whole idea of the gauntlet, it was a little convoluted, but it was still really enjoyable to me. While you had a pretty good idea that Bobby Lashley was going to win all of the matches, it was still cool to see how it was actually going to play out. And I knew that KO needed to be crafty, and that's why he hit Seth Rollins to cause the disqualification. But that's what I wanted Seth Rollins to do weeks ago when KO was fighting for it to become a triple threat. I thought that made like way more sense in terms of Seth Rollins' character than him just becoming so enraged that he just starts wailing on Kevin Owens. Like, that doesn't even seem to be a way that, someone who's always calculating, someone who's the architect, would even be thinking. But anyhow, now it's a fatal four-way. And so after the recap, they bring in King, and they bring him in considerably more ostentatious fashion than they did last week. They got him on the throne and whatnot. They bring him in with Mussorgsky's pictures at an exhibition, the Great Gate of Kiev from that. His entrance music. And he compares MVP and Lashley to Rodney Dangerfield, kind of with the, we don't get any respect, the Almighty doesn't get any respect thing. But Lashley gained everyone's respect that evening with those wins in the gauntlet match. So MVP is going to be the difference maker in day one. This is what King offers us. And that for Seth Rollins or KO to win, what they need to do is focus on each other and beat each other in the match. And then that way they won't have to go through Big E or Bobby Lashley. Well, he says Bobby Lashley first. But they won't have to go through either of them to try to win. Next, they talk about Finn Balor and U.S. champion Damian Priest. They were in a tag match against the Dirty Dawgs, Dolph Ziggler, and Robert Roode, or, Big Bob. Since when has he been Big Bob, by the way? Ziggler and Roode received some distraction help from Mr. Selfie himself, Austin Theory. And Sarah Schreiber has the victorious duo backstage. At least this time, Ziggler didn't deny knowing Austin Theory himself. He just kind of states that the two of them are veterans, he and Roode, and they did what they always set out to do, which is to steal the show. Roode denies Austin helping them at all, noting that, Austin was just taking a picture like he's been doing for weeks. Now, when asked if they had their eyes set on Damian Priest in the U.S. Championship, Ziggler notes that they have their eyes on everything. And it's time to go to Hooters. That's the end of the interview. So the Dirty Dawgs, are always entertaining when it comes to these interviews. This was really no different. Their spoken hot tags were a little less smooth than the last time they were on there a few weeks ago. But, I was still in, and I would love to see them on on Raw Talk a lot more often. They're talking about people always trying to get more TV time. That's one way to be able to do it. Might not be the main show, but that's one way. So after some ads, we get recap of Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch, which was a bit strange, to be honest, because before they went to the ads, they said that they would hear from Queen Zelena and Carmella, and it's like, okay, well then, now why are we running back the Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan feud? But anyway, Becky Lynch, by the way, destroys Liv Morgan's arm in the steel stairs, and after that accepts the rematch request for day one. And I guess her destroying her arm kind of makes sense, softening her up for the disarm her. Now, Matt Camp announces that Morgan has sustained a deep bone bruise and a strained radial collateral ligament in her right arm. I have no idea what any of that means. But it's an excellent kayfabe announcement to kind of give the feud more intensity, to give it more stakes. Because if Liv Morgan can overcome all of this, then her legend is essentially made, right? The win will attain even more star status. So next conversation moves to Miz and Maurice, I think. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Carmella and Queen Zelena. So they've been feuding with the former women's tag champions of Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH. Ripley had a one-on-one match with Queen Zelena. Then Carmella attacked Nikki, distracting Ripley and allowing Zelena to pick up the victory. So I don't know why I have Sarah Schreiber there, because it was definitely Kevin Patrick. Kevin Patrick is with Queen Zelena and her lady, Carmella. I guess that's her title. But the self-proclaimed most beautiful woman in WWE schools Kevin Patrick on all of this because he kind of messes that up. He messes her name up. Now, he emphasizes that Queen Zelena, has back-to-back wins at this point. And Queen Zelena takes it even further. Now, she is an undefeated queen. And I had no idea about that. Obviously, now that she's put that out there, they're going to have her lose tonight. But it was a nice step. Kevin Patrick asks about Carmella's involvement in this match and her basically handing Zelena the victory. And Carmella says that she had to do that to ensure that Rhea Ripley wasn't going to cheat. And when Queen Zelena asks him to tell Carmella that she's the most beautiful woman in WWE, Kevin Patrick gets all like smiley and says, "Here, Car, just to be honest." It's hilarious. And they point out that being royal and being beautiful, between the two of these, they're essentially perfect. Okay. After more ads, we get the most watched moment on WWEcom for the past week, which was Miz using his wife, Maurice, as a human shield, and her slapping him for it. Now, Edge promises to teach Miz a lesson that he won't forget, one that he should have learned in 2006 for day one. Okay, now they go back to King for his thoughts with this, and he actually confirms that Miz will be in the Hall of Fame one day. He's actually going to make it. And he thinks that people just generally on the roster are looking out for others way too much, whether it's Rhea Ripley with Nikki ASH, whether it's AJ for Omos, whether it's Edge for The Miz. When he, the King, was wrestling, he looked out for number one, and that was himself. I think he keeps getting... my phone keeps going to sleep. Okay. And we actually get more ads after that. And when we come back, they have news that on December 27th, that's when the finals of the Arcade Bronament are actually going to happen. The Street Profits versus Rey and Dominic Mysterio. Now, Riddle gets a glimpse of what running into a human brick wall is like from Otis, and then conversation moves to AJ and Omos from there. Now, Kevin Patrick has the duo, bam, right there, and now it's out of focus. Hopefully it's more in focus now. He's got the two of them backstage, and initially it seems like the quarrel is almost over. It's almost there. But he asks the pair about the WWE Universe's speculation that all is not well in the House of Phenomenality. Now, AJ attributes this to no more than growing pains. This is something that happens, right? And he kind of nudges Omos after that, and Omos for a minute, after a moment is like, yeah, it's fine. AJ calls them the greatest tag team in the WWE right now, and they'll be the tag team champions again, but they just have to get their ducks in a row. Now, I loved the tenseness between the two of them that they created, almost as if AJ's trying to mind will Omos into being back in line. And if he says that things are fine enough, then they will be. And just in terms of kind of character, the fact that essentially AJ is comparing what's happening to Omos with what's happening to his own teenage sons, I think is kind of aggravating Omos a little bit. So before the show ends, Redmond and Camp ask King for kind of his final thoughts on the Fatal 4-Way, and he says that 3 guys can just go home because Bobby Lashley is walking out the WWE champion. Strong words from a horny man. He kept that in check this show, though. So my rating is 4 out of 5. Everyone was pretty good. AJ and Omos, they have some cracks in their relationship that AJ is kind of trying to spackle over in this interview, and you can see that. The Dirty Dawgs are reliably mischievous. They're always a good watch. But Zelena and Carmella feed off of each other's vanity like some hideous green-eyed creature rising from the waters of Staten Island. This was your must-watch interview. And if you have a look at it for no other reason than to see the little moment with Kevin Patrick, that alone is enough. But what do you all think? Who is about to win this Fatal 4-Way? Is it about to become a Fatal 5-Way or a 6-pack challenge? When are AJ and Omos going to break up? It's going to happen. When? And long term, who should come out on top in the WWE Raw Women's Championship match? Should it be Becky Lynch or should it be Liv Morgan? Let me know in the comments. And be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Tap that bell icon to make sure you get notifications for when new videos come out. Thank you all, as always, so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.